This one. Oh,
Are you gonna kill it? What are you doing?
I thought it was a tick.
Oh. Either way.
Either way, it's no longer.
Does that count as public execution?
And again, I said at the meeting on Monday, the workshop, still, and Dan's gonna get it, he understands, we still don't have an accounting of the fund balance. This one requesting it. And again, I said at the meeting on Rehab Monday, no idea what trend it was still. And Dan's gonna get it, he understands, yeah, we still don't have an accounting of the fund balance. Then, I was dangerously low. And again, I said, yeah, I'd feel more comfortable making decisions
No.
based on information.
Okay, well, hopefully, yeah, it comes back. then we-
It wasn't.
That information should be easy enough to pull up.
One would think, I've been asking, tell you,
But
but I think Dan
How you holding up?
understood the other night
Can't imagine
what I was asking for, and he's like, oh, I get it.
No.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any disagreement, we are entitled to that, but we're trying to make budgetary decisions, not knowing how much money we have.
Right. Okay. That's a good point.
You wouldn't do it yourself?
No, so, yeah, let's see what's in there.
Okay,
I might have to just sit downstairs.
Deputy Supervisor, I could hear the feedback of Jean and you talking.
okay, we're stopping.
So
No,
when I put us on live on YouTube, so I had already tested it. We will go live on YouTube tomorrow.
we will post it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, the YouTube will be
Yeah.
posted tomorrow. Okay. Okay, are we ready then?
We
Okay, all right, everybody, thank you for being at our September 11th, 2024 Rush Town Board meeting. I would like to invite all of you to join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Town Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Morelli.
Aye, or
Councilman-
here.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Councilman Kies.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Chase,
Here.
and Supervisor Wilbur is excused.
Okay, I do not have any announcements, so at this time, we will move forward to the public comment period. You have 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Okay, nobody had a comment. We will move
Is
forward.
there
Oh,
anybody on a
well-
private Zoom?
There's,
the private Zoom's only, I thought it was just us. I'm sorry.
there's nobody can comment.
Private.
Oh, I thought that they could put a comment in the chat room or raise their hand. Oh, really? Okay,
Okay, okay, so we don't have anybody there. Moving forward, we have the approval of minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the August 14th, 2024, as submitted by Town Clerk Hargrave. Have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Morelli.
one second, I thought we just had oh, there's two of them, 14th and the 28th. That was confusing how that was.
Yeah, we. skipped
Okay.
the last.
Okay,
Yeah, we
uh,
postponed it.
yep, okay, sorry.
Councilman Kies.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Aye. Do we have anyone that would like to make a motion for the approval of the August 28th, 2024?
I can do that. I so move to approve town board minutes from August 28th, 2024, as submitted by Town Clerk Hargrave. Do I have a second?
A second.
Councilwoman Morelli.
Aye,
Councilman Kies.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Aye. Okay, we're a little ahead of schedule for our public hearing, but we had a little bit of a change up. There was a little bit of a maybe some of our numbers weren't quite right in our exemptions for the firefighter and ambulance service personnel and the veterans. So we're going to postpone that public hearing, but, Amy, our assessor is here. Amy, would you mind coming up and just, I know there was a couple questions. Maybe you could explain what's going on with this a little bit more, and then we can try and figure out when we can reschedule the public hearings.
Of course.
Yeah, it's on. The green light is on. You might have to move it closer to you sometime.
Sure, can you hear me?
Yep.
Is this thing, I don't know.
Yes, it is on.
Okay,
There you go.
as long as I'm real close.
Thank you.
So I guess the first one I'll talk about is the volunteer firefighter and ambulance workers. So the state used to have countywide exemptions, so county-specific exemptions, I should say. They decided actually 2 years ago, that they were going to repeal all the county-specific exemptions and go to a statewide exemption. So our county-specific exemption is going to be repealed at the end of 2025. So we wanted to get the new one approved. That's what this will do. This also, the new exemption allows for some additional options to allow for surviving spouses of volunteers that might pass away to continue to have the exemption under certain circumstances. Circumstances are if we have a 20-year volunteer and they pass away at the time of their death, if they have had the exemption, the unremarried surviving spouse can continue to get the exemption as long as all the other things stay, they stay living in the house, their primary residence, all that stuff. The second circumstance was that if a volunteer who dies in the line of duty, as long as they have had the exemption for 5 years and at the time of their death, their unremarried surviving spouse could continue to get that exemption. As long as all the other things are the same. They continue to live in the house, it continues to be their primary residence.
Can I just clarify the exemption which you just described for the being in the residence for being in service 20 years and being in the property for at least 5 years? Was that 15%? Not the.
This is a 10% exemption.
10%,
Yep,
Okay,
10% exemption.
Got it.
That's not changing.
Okay.
And I believe there's a 2-year waiting period. That's also not changing.
Okay.
So in other words, they have to own the home and be a volunteer. They have to have been a volunteer for at least 2 years and before they can have the exemption on a property. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions about that one?
So you're gonna work with our attorney to make sure we have the language matching what we want to do.
Correct,
Okay.
as long as that's what you guys want to do. That's what I'm proposing, but it's
Yeah.
up to you guys, obviously, so.
I
I
believe it
believe
is.
we had talked about it last.
We did.
time, and I want to make sure that the full extent of what you can approve is clear and it's clearly articulated in the proposed local law, because I don't think the local law accurately reflects what the full amount of the exemption could be. So I want to make sure that we're capturing that from your perspective, and then the local law that's posted is accurate.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that one?
So the exemptions and the numbers are set by the county then?
The state sets like what's allowed. Sometimes there are local options where different acting jurisdictions can adopt different percentages and different maximums. That's what's going on with the veterans exemptions, which I'm going to talk about next.
But
Okay,
the state offers it up and then we can approve the state, or if
Yeah.
you want to deviate from the state, it's, we can deviate from there, but that's.
So.
I just want to make sure that what you're looking to do is accurately.
So at local option, you can allow for those surviving spouses to continue, the unremarried surviving spouses to get the exemption. The state allows for that. You don't have to approve it, but I'm suggesting that you might want to. It's how other exemptions of this type work. It's how the veterans exemptions work as well. Unremarried surviving spouses can continue to get those exemptions. Because presumably they've gone through similar things that the volunteers have had to go through, the sacrifices that those people have made, the spouses are also sort of making. So.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I think no problem with that.
Great, okay. So the next one is for the alternative veterans exemption. This is an exemption that the town already offers for veterans that have served during wartime. So the change would be to allow for higher maximums in terms of how much assessment can be exempted. So right now we have underneath what the state allows for a maximum. Last year, the county approved the maximum exemption levels. And so, for instance, the maximums that we have right now for just a regular veteran who served during wartime, that's a 15% exemption. It was the maximum that they could save was $36,000 in assessed value. So I'm asking you to up that to $45,000 as a maximum. It's still a 15% exemption. It's just a slightly higher maximum. And as we see our property values increase, if these maximums are not increased, then the exemption doesn't help them out as much. So that's kind of why the county did it. And this is making us, the town of Rush, consistent with what the county has. So the next part of this is, if somebody served in a combat theater, they can save an extra 10%. The maximum assessment savings right now is $24,000. I'm asking you to up it to $30,000, which is the maximum that's allowed by the state. And same goes for the disability portion. So if somebody is disabled by the Department of Veterans Affairs, they can get an additional exemption based on their disability rating. So right now, the maximum level is $120,000 of assessment. I'm asking for you to raise that to $150,000. Again, same reason. As property values escalate, these exemptions aren't helping them as much if we don't go up to these higher maximums. And this also makes us consistent with the county. So that's for the alternative veterans. Any questions about that one?
No, I think
Oh,
sounds good. It
Yeah.
Keeps us in line, keeps us up with everybody, so.
Okay, so the last one is gonna be the Cold War veterans. Cold War, basically anybody who served when we weren't at war. This covers everybody else. This used to be a 10% exemption kind of across the board. Last year, the county approved going to a 15% exemption and went to the highest maximums in terms of how much assessment value can they save. So I am asking for the board to basically match the savings with what the county has approved and the highest levels from the state. It's a 15% exemption. That would take, that would be a 15% exemption. It would go from a maximum of right now it's $8,000 to $45,000. That's for, it's a flat, they only have one style of, there's only one level of exemption, except if they have a disability. The same thing applies if they're disabled through, the Department of Veterans Affairs, they can save based on their disability rating. So right now, the maximum amount that they could save in assessed value is $40,000. We would be upping it to $150,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's been so low for, a really long time. We also don't have a ton of these exemptions right now. We have 15 households that have the Cold War, just the regular exemption. And then we have one disabled Cold War veteran that this would impact. And again, this is to, allow these exemptions to be helping these veterans as their property values are increasing in this market. That's my recommendation.
It sounds good.
Okay,
All right,
thank
So-
you.
great.
our next question for you guys. This is more of a Kevin and you
Well,
and
it could be the
Pam.
next meeting. just so you know, in the draft that I provided, I had some of the figures were slightly off, so I had 10% instead of the 15. So instead of the 45, I had 30 for instance, for the
Yeah.
Cold War. So I want to make sure that we make those changes.
Yep.
Because it could be deemed a material change, because it is a increase, I want to make sure that the notice for the public hearing is correct, so we can continue this till the next meeting. I'll make these changes, we'll get them posted, and then.
So I guess for that point, we haven't officially opened a public hearing yet. Do we just
We're gonna continue-
reschedule
we're
a
gonna-
public hearing?
Yes, we reschedule the public hearing that was for tonight for the next.
Okay, so. Does anybody want to make a motion to reschedule, to open a public hearing on September 25th at 7:15 for the firefighters and ambulance personnel tax exemptions?
Go to second or?
Sure, second that if you want.
Is there?
Yeah, is that okay?
September 15th,
25th.
25th at 7:15, and then we can do the veterans and the.
Yeah, I'm,
You want to do them in 3 separate ones, correct?
Yeah, 3 separate ones.
okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to have 15-minute intervals?
No.
I think we just want to go like 5.
Five.
Yeah,
And then-
that should be
I don't
They're-
think we're gonna have a lot
Uh,
of,
this
Hope
should-
nobody would object.
This should be
Okay.
pretty straight.
okay, so
So
there's a
it's gonna be
second.
For all of them together, it's not.
Well, no, we're gonna do 7:15, 7:20. Makes sense. Is that easier for you? Okay. So we're gonna do
Okay.
7:15, 7:20, and then 7:20.
So
So. okay,
Derek,
so
second.
Derek seconded. Councilman Kais.
Aye.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
I. Now, we have to do that again for the next ones, right?
Yes.
Okay. So. I would like to make a motion to the hearing at 7:20 for amending a local law for a active or a veterans exemption. Do I have a second?
The
The
alternative?
Veterans Alternative Exemption.
Oh, veterans alternative exemption.
At 7:20
Yes,
on the 25th.
correct.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Kais.
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Aye. I would like to make a motion to schedule a public hearing on September 25th at 7:25 PM. Amending the local law for our Cold War veterans alternative exemptions,
Just Cold War voucher.
just Cold War veterans.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, excuse me. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Kais.
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Aye,
And it is now 7:15 for the first.
Yes.
So would you like me to read the
please.
notice? The notice is for local law to amend the Town of Rushtown Code, Part 2, General Legislation, Chapter 65, Flood Damage Prevention Requirements. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the Rushtown Board at the Rushtown offices, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, on the 11th day of September 2024 at 7:15 local time, for the purpose of amending the Town of Rushtown Code, Section 65, flood damage prevention. At such hearing, anyone may be heard in favor or against the amendment as proposed at the above time. And this was available online and to the public in the office.
Okay, is there anybody from the public that would like to speak about this? Marianne, please come up.
Hi, Marianne Rizzo, 25 Stowe Road. I really don't know what it's all about. I wondered if you can explain it more.
Yes,
I wasn't at that particular workshop
Okay.
and I just don't have any background on it.
Okay.
I don't have a comment, really.
okay, actually, if we don't have any other comment, John, I was gonna invite you to come up and speak on it, if you're comfortable with doing that, please.
John Limbeck, Building Inspector. What this is, FEMA has requirements and they set flood zones for every area of the country. And what they do is they establish these flood zones for a potential 100-year flood and a 50-year flood. And they control what can be built within these flood zones. And they've got the maps, the town has the maps, the town has a code section already, 65. And it's very close to what New York State DEC enforces, and New York State DEC enforces this code for FEMA. And we found out during an audit in May of this year that we were supposed to be enforcing this law, and it hasn't been enforced for many years in Rush. So in working with the DEC, we got a copy of their model code, permit application. If you're going to build within a floodplain, you have to first obtain a flood development permit before you can build any type of structure within that flood zone. So the DEC provided us with a whole slew of documents. And as I said, our current code is probably 95% compliant with what DEC recommends as the model code. And rather than having Kevin look at our code and the model code word for word, we decided it would be better just to adopt the model code and the application for the flood development permit. So that's what's happened over the last several months. We've put together, working with the DEC, what the permit looks like, what the inspections are, the fee for such a permit. And I've put a little bit of notice into the last newsletter that this was coming. And once the town board approves the new code language, the permit, the application, the different factors, then what we're going to do is put together a publication. It'll go out to every resident and business owner in the town and follow that up with a public meeting, hopefully over in the pavilion, where we can explain to people, you know, what this does, what it impacts, and how they're going to have to deal with this. We've also had the county take our zoning map and overlay the 50-year and the 100-year flood zones on that map. And in the meantime, I've obtained a GPS type program that shows properties and with the overlays, and I'm able to measure, let's say somebody has a 5 acre parcel and half of it's in a flood zone. Well, they might not be able to put a shed in the flood zone, but I can work with them to put it elsewhere on their property so they can still do what they like to do. So that's what we're trying to do tonight, bring this up to speed. I've been appointed by the town board as the local floodplain administrator, because this is also a FEMA requirement that we have such an individual to manage the program. So this is the culmination of a lot of effort since the first part of May this year when we were first informed. And we're not the only community in Monroe County that isn't full speed on the floodplain management. But once we found out about it, the town board agreed that we should be in compliance with the state and federal requirements for that. So that's what we're looking at tonight. And there was a lot of affected documents. You know, we've got to make sure that we've got the correct application. We have to have the fee schedule. We have to have the actual code section so that everything is correct and proper. So what will happen now, once the New York State Department of State approves our local law, once they're good with that, then I can start enforcing it. And what will happen is every time I get a building permit application, I'll have to look and see if that property is in a flood zone before I can go ahead and issue the permit, the building permit. If it is in a flood zone, we're going to have to put it aside and inform the homeowner that they have to get this flood development permit before they can continue with the building permit that they're seeking. And we put one to the case. I got a building permit request for the 100 acre park. They wanted to put a shed up. And it was awfully close to the river, even though, we haven't approved the law yet. But, the lady, that is part of that board, she's a civil engineer and she was able to fill out all the paperwork that we would have got for the floodplain development. So, it was a good test of the system. So that's where we're at.
So can it go where they want it?
I gave them the permit. Yeah, they
Okay.
had all the correct paperwork and placed it where it's not part of the flood zone over there. So it worked. Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, John.
Question,
Appreciate
I don't know if I answered. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, John. And moving forward through the meeting, there's gonna be a couple resolutions that John just touched on some of those points, so, you'll see those as we move along here. Okay, at this point, we are to a transfer of fund.
We
Oh.
should probably see if there's.
Oh,
more
I'm
public
sorry,
comment,
you're right,
we
and then
should
close that,
the
I'm sorry.
public hearing.
Yep.
But no, just make sure there's no more
Yep.
public comment.
Any other public comment? Okay, I make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Are all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Much easier for me.
Okay, at this point, we're moving forward to a transfer of funds. This is from a DA account to another DA account for the highway department to purchase a used loader from the town of Wheatland. So at this point, before we move forward here, I would like to invite DJ Kyle, the highway superintendent, to come up and speak and kind of explain what's going on here and how this kind of is gonna benefit the town. Thanks.
So it was kind of a quick thing that came about, and salesmen stop at the highway department on a daily basis, it seems like sometimes. We have a 2002 loader with approximately 6,500 hours on it. It is starting to show its age, and we depend on that thing on a daily basis all year round, especially during the winter time when we're loading salt trucks, and that's our main source of loading trucks with rock salt to put on the roads during snow and ice season. The salesman came to me with this loader here. It is the town of Wheatlands. They trade theirs in every 4 years. It's a 2020, has approximately 1,300 hours on it. So being through Milton Cat, they are on state bid. We don't have to go out and get 3 other bids or 3 bids to place to find the cheapest one, because they are on that list already. The overall cost of loader is $170,000. $170,075. They're gonna give us $30,000 for our used loader now as a trade-in.
Is that is that fair?
It seems to be fair, with what market prices through asking people at Pete's or RTI auctions. They've been breaking, 25 to 35, so they're kind of in the middle on that deal, and I feel that's a safe bet other than sending it to auction. Hey, maybe we would have got 35, but we also could have got 25. This new loader has a 3-year warranty or a 1,500-hour warranty on all hydraulics, engines, drivetrain. That it's extended from Cat to us for buying this loader. It is not budgeted for. It is coming out of our fund balance hopefully you guys can transfer money or order so that we can get this purchase done. I feel that a brand new loader is $280,000. At this point, that's what I believe Wheatland's new loader just cost them. So I feel it's a significant savings that, you know, is gonna upgrade us by 22 years.
So when would we have replaced the old one?
When would we have replaced
Yeah.
it? In 2026. What I built into my equipment replacement schedule that I just started, it's still kind of a work in progress. But I think that, you know, it's in definite need of replacement. And it's, you know, something that on Saturday morning, when you're trying to plow snow and do all that, you can't just go out and get another.
I guess if, what do you, I mean, so 2 years from now, a new loader right now, you said what, $280,000?
180, yes.
So in 2 more years, they'd probably be closer to 300,000. And we would
It
probably
seems
get,
The way the trends are going,
we
yes.
would probably get 20,000 for the loader we have
Yeah.
2 years from now.
Yep. I mean, honestly, if this deal kind of works out, I mean, this is a nice loader. We've went and looked at it. You know, we've drove it. We've, you know, we are worked very close with the town of Wheatland. So that, you know, they have had no problems with it.
And plus you get a warranty with it.
Comes with a warranty. And maybe this is the road that we go down to try to keep our taxes a little bit lower, you know. Maybe 4 years from now, maybe we buy the one they just bought. You know, maybe we could, this one hopefully will be worth, you know,
Or you trade this one in
Trade this
when
one
it's
in.
still worth more than $100,000.
Right.
potentially, yeah.
So what do you think the useful life of this one would be? I know the
I'd like to
warranty
see
is
this one-
3 years or so many hours, but
Right.
in
I'd
terms
like to
of
See this one replaced in, you know, 6 years,
6 years.
When it's 10 years old.
when it's 10 years old. I still feel it'll have a good resale value. I think, you know, in trying to catch up, we have 21 pieces of equipment, 11 of them are 20 years or older. So I think this is a good step in trying to get to that next level where, you know, we're trying to replace this equipment on a quicker level.
So the actual, basically, so what you're trying to get to is a point where you're updating your machinery at a lower cost to the town because you're updating it as it's newer and getting more bang, more trade-in value.
Right, until we can get to the point, hopefully get to the point where we can buy a new loader. And, you know, maybe get to the point where we could trade our loader in every 5 years. And,
Or any other piece of equipment, honestly.
Well, as we learned Monday night, you know, there's not a lot of money there and the equipment's all getting very expensive.
it's very expensive and, you know, we sign contracts with the state and the county to, you know, keep the roads clear in the wintertime. And so we have to, you know, abide by them contracts.
And then I know you said it is on state contract then.
It is on state contract, all for state bid.
Thank you, DJ. All right,
A motion?
Yep.
I'll make the motion that we move to transfer $140,075 from DA 5999 unexpected balance fund to DA 5130.200 machinery, equipment, and capital outlay for the purchase of a front wheel loader for the highway department. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a question though. I'm sorry. Cause there's another resolution in the packet. I get the details on the loader, but there's another resolution here. Authorizing the purchase of a front wheel loader, a 2020 cat wheel loader for $30,000.
I think that must have been a misprint because that's what we got for the trade-in was 30,000.
I just want to be
No, it's
clear.
not.
It's not?
No, the transfer is to transfer funds in order to purchase it.
We have to transfer the money. And then you have to okay me buying the loader. Also, a resolution for me to purchase. the loader.
But it's saying
For,
you could purchase it for $30,000.
yeah, so your purchase amount's 140,075, right?
Is that correct?
Yes, so that, the
Okay.
30,000 is the
Yeah.
trade-in.
Yeah, but that's not in this other resolution.
Yeah, in
It
the
says we're
actual,
gonna buy it for
I-
30,000.
yeah,
Oh, for purchase.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got,
Yeah,
I wanna
good
make
catch.
sure we're
Yep.
talking about the same
Good
thing
catch,
here.
though.
You're right.
Should we have it is,
140,075.
Yep.
So that we can coordinate these two
Yeah,
resolutions,
the
is that
transfer
correct?
should be, the transfer should be the same.
And I'm trying to understand here, I'm looking quickly at this sales order. And it refers to, oh, the trade-in is a 2002.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're getting a 2020,
let's warranty,
Are we good?
right here.
warranty.
Yeah.
trade-in.
Okay, Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye,
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye,
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Aye,
See my resolution on this?
not yet, that's, we'll do that one later.
Okay.
Jeez, you got me shuffling all.
I'm sorry, things out of order, but I'm looking at it and it was, wait a minute.
All right, now we're moving on to the approval of the abstract, which I actually had. So I so move, having reviewed all vouchers on abstract 9-1, August 14th, 2024, authorizes payments totaling $28,518.03. Which includes Fund AA General for $24,902.49. Fund DA Highway townwide for $3,352.76, and Fund LL Library for $29.48. And SD Special Drainage District, SD Fund for $233.30. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye,
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
aye,
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Aye. Okay, now we'll go on to reports from board members, town clerk and town attorney. Councilwoman Morelli, would you like to start?
sure. Since our last town board meeting, I attended the budget workshop we had this past Monday night. On September 9th. It was, generated pretty good discussion on a lot of budget items, and as it raised a lot of questions, there were things that we couldn't get answered because the budget director was on vacation. So Supervisor Willover is gonna get some questions answered, and I think we have to reschedule another workshop as a result. But we did raise a lot of issues, a lot of interesting discussion. I enjoyed the discussion, to tell you the truth. The other thing I've been working on is holiday lights. Now that we found out it's in the budget, so we can do something, however limited that might be. And Sue Me, over here, our town historian, is working with me in that regard. And so we independently started researching what's available. And we came up with almost identical selections of what we thought might be appropriate. There were a couple of different vendors for this kind of thing. I placed a call to one of the companies and I was told I would get a call back by today, which did not happen. So I apologize for that. I can't get more specifics about what they might do, cost, and that sort of thing. So I won't wait as soon as I get any feedback on what we might be able to do. And if we can do it for this holiday season, God willing, I'd love to see it, but we'll see. I'm gonna push. So I'll continue to work with Sue so we can, and then present it. Of course, we're not gonna independently make any decisions, obviously.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try and see what we can do.
Very good. Luther?
I too attended the budget workshop and basically the same thing that Joanne came up with. We had good discussions, I thought, and it's just unfortunate that, our, budget
Finance director.
financial director was not there, but, so I have another meeting. I did, I will not be able to make the conservation board meeting tomorrow. I did work, Miss Morelli, and we're gonna trade places. She's gonna take it tomorrow, and I'll attend the fire district meeting next Tuesday. So I thank you for that.
Good.
So I got,
Right. Derek?
I too attended the meeting on Monday, September 9th. A lot of good discussion, and I'll echo what those, Gene and Luther said, that it was unfortunate that the finance director wasn't here, but a lot of good conversation.
I guess I'll give a report before we move on to the town clerk and the attorney. I was unable to make the budget workshop. I had a family event that night. And from what I've heard, just in talking to Supervisor Woolever, briefly about it, it does sound like we need to have another meeting. We scheduled it. I think there was a little confusion about when our deadlines were. That's why we scheduled it when we did, even though we knew the financial director wasn't gonna be there. It looks like we might have a little bit more leeway, and we'll get into that a little bit further down the agenda. I attended the tree committee meeting last night, in place of Supervisor Woolever. He couldn't make it. They're working on filling out their application to become a tree city. We made a bit of headway on it last night. There was a few questions that were still remaining, that they needed to figure out as far as, what years they needed information from as far as money's coming in. We need to be able to prove that townwide we're spending $2 per capita to be able to be applicable to become a tree city. Just in a brief, just a brief look with the tree committee last night. I don't think we're gonna have any trouble covering that kind of money, just between what RPA is doing down at the 100 acres and what our highway department does with brush cleanup and other things like that. I don't think that's going to be an issue. It's just a matter of getting the numbers from the correct years and getting that information, and maybe working with the finance director on a few other things, getting the numbers we need. So we're moving forward with that. It's just a matter of getting the correct information for the correct year. There was a comment from one of the tree committee members, Rick Spencer, while discussing what the RPA has done. He would like it, he would like the RPA to be recognized for the amount of work that they really do contribute down at the 100 acre park. I told him that I would mention it, but I believe also, Marianne, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are scheduled to give a presentation in the first meeting in November to fill us in on all the activities you guys have been doing, what the progress has been down there. So we look forward to hearing from Marianne, and I think Carol Burnett's gonna present with you at the same time. Okay, very good. So yeah, we look for, I told them that was going to be happening, so we look forward to hearing from you guys then. So that's all I have. Town Clerk Hargrave, anything?
I do not have anything tonight.
Attorney Overton? Okay. Oh, DJ. Thank you, Derek. Sorry, DJ, I'm new to this.
Oh, that's all right. We're tomorrow morning, we're gonna start paving the West Rush Firehouse Station number 2. We're helping them get that paved, and we're also paving Creekside Drive and Mill Road. All at the same time. We do maintain it for snow and ice, so it'll make our jobs a lot easier as far as snow and ice go. We're still out doing county work. We were in Powder Mill Park the last couple days working for the county, making revenue over there, and got some other county jobs coming up, and that's where we stand at this point.
Thank you. All right.
Sue May's here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sue, did you have anything? Okay, thank you.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
actually,
Okay.
you worked on Saturday.
Yeah,
didn't you?
mention that. I've mentioned previously that I'm partnering with the Rochester Genealogical Society. We're the first town to partner with them locally. And Saturday morning, we had 9 people here from 8:30 to 12:30, scanning, indexing, all free labor. And I did was provide coffee and donut holes, and they're going to probably, haven't identified the additional dates yet. It'll be one Saturday a month, or up through at least December, maybe into January, February, depends. And volunteers that are doing the indexing can come in other times during the week when I'm here. So this is huge and more than I could do on, my hours by myself. So I think it's exciting. And like I had mentioned previously, this information will be available through the New York State Archives website. So people doing their genealogy research will have more access, finding what we have upstairs.
Oh, excellent.
It's awesome.
Great. All right. Thank you, Sue. Okay. At this point, we'll move on to old business. Town Clerk Hargrave, did you want to kind of update us on what we got going on with the next resolution in front of us to update and amend the?
Yeah, so you already did approve the workday resolution. When I submitted it to the comptroller's office, I had it in a table exact of how whatever information they needed. They sent it back to me and they would like it on their form. So it's on their form.
That's one you emailed
It's
to us?
exactly the same, but it's on the form.
Okay, I was wondering. Didn't we look at this?
So I got a letter and I was like, okay, gotta do it then. And I talked to them actually today. I sent it to them, said, okay, is this agreeable? And I actually got a call back within 20 minutes of emailing them, which I was surprised.
Oh.
So.
Caught him
all
at a
good.
good time.
No.
Alright. I so move. Are we good? Good. I so move that the town of Rush hereby approves and establishes the following as standard workdays for elected and appointed officials, and the town clerk will report the following day's work to the New York State and local employees retirement system based on record of activities maintained and submitted by these officials to clerk of the body. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Morel,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Aye. Okay, moving forward with old business, Gene, I was gonna kind of throw this next one to you anyway. Is it, do you have any more on this?
On the
other than-
holiday lights, no, is what I said,
Yeah.
that we're working on this and trying to get something accomplished. I thought I'd have more information tonight, but they didn't call me back. So,
Okay, good. All right, so we'll look forward,
Yeah.
maybe next board meeting,
okay,
we'll see. They
Yeah.
come back with some,
yeah.
so, very
hopefully.
good. All right, and then on the budget discussion, again, I don't know if there's much more to be said at this point, other than maybe talking about scheduling another meeting. I kind of, after having some conversation with Dan Wolver about it and maybe scheduling another meeting. And it, like I said, we did get a little bit of a bump as far as the time frame, but we're still pretty tight on when we need to get this done. My suggestion at this point, I was thinking maybe do it at 6 o'clock before our next town board meeting. So our next town board meeting is on the 25th of September. If we met at 6, and at that point, prior to that, if there was any questions or any concerns, maybe kind of forward that onto the department heads, so that we could have maybe some answers to answer.
So forward questions in advance of
Good,
this
yes.
meeting.
I think the ones that we developed from Monday night.
Yeah, if we could just make sure that the department heads had those, so they could look into them and maybe come up with some answers prior to the meeting, so that we can essentially get some answers.
So evaluate all their budgets, send them questions directly, bring it back for open discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
Deputy Supervisor, would you like the department heads to be present at 6
I,
p.m.?
yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Physically present,
And also.
Yeah.
If we could have Janice there as well.
yeah,
I think, absolutely, because she was a majority of the questions we had.
Yes, she's the one that has most of the answers to that stuff.
Yep.
So if we could also see if she could attend that meeting. And then if not, I don't know if then maybe we should discuss a potentially different time.
if
'Cause
everybody can't make it.
Yeah,
Can we schedule a workshop for the 25th at 6
6
o'clock?
p.m.
We can do that. I
Okay.
would suggest that, tomorrow when Janice is in, you talk to her and see if that fits her schedule.
Okay.
And if you do in fact need to make another meeting, possibly, a quorum of you could get together on a supervisor setting a special meeting to set that,
okay,
Oh, just to set the
Just-
meeting.
yeah,
Correct.
just real quick.
just in the,
Yep.
for the time frame.
Okay, so I'll touch base
Janice,
tomorrow. See, unless Dan, I'll touch base with Dan. We'll figure it out one
Okay.
way or the other. Okay.
So we're not gonna set a meeting now.
yes. You're gonna schedule.
We're gonna schedule it now and then we'll amend it if we, if
Okay.
chance, that way we're all here, we can do it. And if it does work, then we don't have to have another meeting. If
And
it,
if it doesn't work.
Then we'll
a
do
special
something.
Meeting to schedule that.
Yeah. so.
You
So,
want me to wing it?
I would, yeah, just,
I so move to have a workshop meeting at 6 p.m. on September 25th, pending Janice's approval.
for
or
availability.
Availability
To discuss.
to discuss the budget,
And
including
it's
all
on
departments.
9/25.
including
right?
all
Yep,
department.
that's what I
heads
had on
in
my
person.
calendar. That's-
Is there a second?
I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Morale,
Aye,
Councilman Kais,
All right,
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase,
Aye. The next item in old business was the resolution to approve an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County regarding the web-based map services. That was something John spoke to as far as being able to use their mapping services. John, just briefly, is that gonna cover just the floodplain or is that gonna do multiple?
It allows us to use their mapping services.
yeah.
I almost hesitated asking the question because
I'd like a bunk bed in the other room. In order to use their mapping services, we have to have this intermunicipal agreement. We looked at it. It doesn't cost the town anything to do that. They're the ones that did our zoning map. We got away with that one before they found out. They're working on an interactive GPS map for us for the floodplain as well. And the next thing we want to ask them for is to take our ag districts and superimpose that over our zoning map, because if you look at our ag district map right now, it's just green blobs on the town map.
there's no
So,
property lines or any
No,
sort of
no, so,
identifying lines at all.
I spoke with the town clerk and with the town supervisor. We verified that it didn't cost us anything to do this other than signing the agreement, so we thought that it'd be wise to do, and then we can use their services as different things come up.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. I knew we had talked about the floodplain mapping stuff and I knew we did stuff with the zoning maps, but I just wanted to make sure
Yeah, we wanted
we're
the ag
getting a
district
bunch of
map.
stuff. So,
We'd like to do the ag district next.
thank you.
And there are other features that are available in
Yeah.
the GIS system, so if this works out and there's other things the town may want to explore down the road, this will be the nice foray into it, and we'll have this working agreement that we can kind of build on.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like it available on the website and,
Yep.
yeah, no, I think it's great.
It's a useful,
Yeah,
and a good cost.
That's right. The best guy.
I so move to approve the intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County regarding web-based map services. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Morale,
Aye,
Councilman Kais,
aye,
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase,
Aye. Okay, moving on to new business, we need a resolution to amend the local law of our town code regarding to the flood damage prevention. This is what we just had the public hearing on earlier in the night. John explained it. Does anyone want to read the resolution?
Resolution for the town board of town of Rush regarding local law number blank to be determined later of 2024. Amending chapter 65 of the code of the town of Rush regarding flood damage prevention within the town of Rush. I don't have to read that too.
Starts whereas, and just read the rest of it.
So whereas the Environmental Protection Agency has adopted new legislative requirements for the administration of the floodplain. Agreement requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program contained in 44 CFR paragraph 60.3. And whereas the state of New York requires that all municipalities comply with the floodplain management requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program contained in 44 CFR paragraph 60.3, and whereas New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has recommended optional administrative provisions for the proper administration of the National Flood Insurance Program. And whereas the public hearing on local law number to be determined at 2024 was held on September 11th, 2024, in accordance with the requirement of the New York Municipal Home Rule Law and New York Town Law, and notice was posted as required by law. And whereas all persons at the hearing desiring to speak on a matter were heard, all correspondence on the matter was read, and these statements were considered by the town board. Now be it resolved that the town board of the town of Rush hereby adopts local law to be determined of 2024 as attached hereto, and shall be entered into the minutes of the meeting of the town board of Rush held on the 11th day of September. And it is further resolved that local law to be determined of 2024 shall be replaced and amend in its entirety the existing chapter 65 flood damage prevention and the code of town of Rush, and it's further. And it is further resolved that the town board is acting as lead agency for seeker purposes and has determined that the passage of local law to be determined of 2024 is an unlisted action and defined in 6 New York CRR paragraph 617.2 paragraph A and K. And it is further resolved that the town board has conducted an uncoordinated review of this action, concludes that no potential significant adverse environmental impact exists, thus issues a negative declaration pursuant to seeker. And it is further resolved that local law to be determined 2024 shall take effect immediately upon its filing in the office of the Secretary of State in accordance with section 27 of the New York Municipal Home Rule Law. And it's further resolved that the notice of this resolution should be filed, circulated to the extent required by any applicable provision of the Code of Town of Rush and or any relevant statute or regulation. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase,
Aye. Okay, moving forward, the second item of new business is a resolution to approve the floodplain development application form and floodplain development permit form and building permit form. Again, John spoke to this earlier. This is pretty much boilerplate, floodplain forms. They need to be done anytime that there is a building that is going to be built, any kind of structure is going to be built in a floodplain. Does anyone want to read that resolution?
I so move to approve the New York State DEC Model Floodplain Development Permit Application Form, Floodplain Development Application Form, Development Permit and Development Permit Form and fee discussed by the town board as presented by Building Inspector Floodplain Administrator on August sixth, 2024, and dated August sixth, 2024. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase,
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John. Okay, now we need a resolution to approve a letter of services with Bernard P. Dunnigan.
So I understand what it is, but I thought we would have some discussion, maybe Attorney Overton can help us. I think it's a formality, you know, in forming a water district that we have to do this, even though we may never, depending on the outcome
Right.
of the vote,
Petition, but we need to have,
we need to have this in place.
you need to have this in place in case it goes forward. We've already got it in place. We don't have to worry about trying to retroactively make it effective. So this, by putting it in place now, even prior to the petition, we're.
Right, and then we're not obligated, but we will have it ready to go.
We're not
if
on
it's
the hook
approved.
for it,
We're
but,
not-
Exactly.
but it's there. If it does go through, we can use it. If it doesn't go through, then it goes away.
Then it goes away. There's no harm, no foul, because there's nothing to.
And you were okay with the letter that they sent?
Just by-
Okay, all right, then I can read the resolution. I move to approve the letter of service with Bernard P. Donegan dated August, do you know the date? 26, 2024. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase,
Aye. Okay, the last item we have under new business is the resolution authorizing the purchase of authorizing the highway department's purchase of a front end loader, which we just went through the transfer of funds for. So do we have a resolution approving that purchase?
I so move to authorize the highway superintendent's purchase of a 2020 Cat wheel loader through New York State OGS NJPA Heavy Equipment Contract number PC 69406 for an amount of $140,075. Do I have a second?
A second.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Chase,
Aye. Okay. Just a quick heads up, next town board meeting is September 25th. We're going to have our budget workshop prior to that at 6. Regular meeting's gonna start at 7. We have the sub-board meetings are as needed, but as of right now, I don't know that there's any changes. The conservation board is meeting tomorrow night. Zoning is on September 19th and planning is on September 24th. Having no further business to discuss, I make a motion to end the meeting at 8:05.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Just gotta read off the paper.
I think the only thing I'd like to find out is on other veterans exemption, there's a percentage